Bitcoin is currently chopping around quite a bit, so I want to take a look at a few different time frames using some of my favorite tools and indicators. And of course, guys, some of my favorite trading strategies near the end of this stream here. One of my favorite tools I really want to focus on in this stream is the Fibonacci tool, which you guys in the Discord know I've been posting about it a lot lately, and that's for good reason. You can just take a look at the chart that I'm looking at right now and how accurate the 618 on the weekly fib was respected with this current correction that we are currently seeing. Bitcoin ETF or not, I was calling for a rejection at this level for all of 2023. I actually went back through some of my old videos, and it was right around the time of the FTX collapse, actually a little bit before that. I was eyeing up that $48,000 to $50,000 level, and that was based off nothing but these Fibonacci's. I never once backed down from that theory, and I made sure to mention it every single video. You guys with me know that. And I always outlined that I was making damn sure I wasn't tricked into FOMOing in at that level, no matter what the fundamental reasons may have been. In that case, just very recently here, obviously that was with the whole spot ETF around Bitcoin there. A lot of people were starting to get the FOMO bug at this level, and you guys know that I am never one for fundamentals. I mean, yeah, it's okay to be aware of them, but the way I see it, if the fundamentals are going to affect the price action, you're going to see the charts play that out. Yeah, you might not get in at the absolute perfect entry, but the structure of the chart will show whether or not that news is going to have an impact, because realistically, generally speaking, there's always a couple of different news articles already ready to, hit the masses, just ready to blame either a bullish or a bearish reaction. Those articles are always ready, so no matter what happens with the price action, we're just ready with an explanation to people who aren't so much reading charts and stuff, just wondering what the heck's going on. Everybody always wants a reason for price action, when realistically the charts are usually showing it. So yeah, that's basically what I was going off here. Every market cycle so far, and not saying that these market cycles have to totally repeat themselves. Obviously, anything can happen, you guys. But generally speaking, we have always seen big corrections at this 618 level. This is a couple bear markets ago. You can see when we got to that level, we did have this big correction there. Doesn't look like much. That is a 40% correction there, because this is the weekly chart on the logarithmic chart. Back in this market cycle, a lot of you guys were probably around for this. And you guys, that's another thing. So talking about how, there was something fundamentally that was going to make people try and FOMO in at these levels. This time was the ETF announcement, and everyone's thinking, oh, this market cycle is going to be different. I remember this being the exact case back here, not the ETF, but here is where everyone was saying, oh, institutions are getting involved. There's bigger players getting into the space. This is going to be up only. This cycle is going to be different. Super cycle, wham, you're just going to fly to the upside. Same shit, you guys. We just end up testing that Fibonacci level. And yes, it's true that, there are these big catalysts that you would expect to kind of treat these market cycles differently a little bit. But at the end of the day, you need these big things to carry on your basic price action, because every market cycle, it takes so much more money to move the market that you need these bigger players getting involved. So it's just, nothing has changed in my opinion. These cycles are all just kind of the same. There's just naturally going to be bigger players moving bigger amounts of money in order to keep a healthy trend, basically. We constantly need more money coming into the market. And retail can only push it so far. And that's where we need these bigger players coming in. And so I don't know. I personally don't think anything is different this market cycle. In fact, every bull market, generally speaking, is going to get smaller. Yes, the dollar amount that the price moves is going to be significantly larger. But when we look at percentages, generally speaking, they get smaller, just because, like I was just saying, it takes so much more money to move the price of this. I mean, the market cap when we were trading down at these levels compared to the market cap as we're trading up at these levels, I mean, it's just, it's so much bigger. It takes so much more money to move that price. And even with the halving, yes, it's true that, the mining rewards are cut in half and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, there is still more being mined. And so there is always going to be, more coins coming into the market, although at a slower rate. And yes, there's some being lost, confiscated, just, all that sort of thing. Absolutely, that is a thing. But yeah, just generally speaking, I don't think this market cycle is really any different. I assume the percentage gains we get are going to be smaller than the percentage we got in the last market cycle. And I'm happy to be wrong. Obviously, if we create some miracle here where, back at these levels, what were we at? We were at around 3,000 and pumped to close to 70,000. Yeah, it's over a 20x that the market cycle did see. I don't really think that we're going to get another 20x from the bottom of this market cycle, for example. Yes, the dollar amount, like I said, is going to be crazy. In my opinion, obviously anything can happen. But I really do believe that the percentage that this market cycle has will be the smallest percentage out of any previous bull market, because that's just everything I've just been talking about. So as it stands right now, this played out to a T. You can see just how accurate this was on that 618. That 618 is just so this fib is pulled from our bull market high down to our bear market bottom. Look at that, bang on that 618. Not even a little fake out above it, barely. Where are we going to go from here? I've been talking for quite a while that I think after we test this level, we would end up coming back down and testing this blue box. This is basically just a strong support level that we saw. I'm going to call this phase one of the bear market because, it's when we started distributing. But, we did have that strong support level for several months. And, after that ended up dropping, then obviously we see phase two of the bear market where we take that one big plunge to the downside. But yeah, this is basically a very strong level in the market, a good support resistance level. You can see in previous market cycles, we've always had the same thing. And after we reclaim that level, it's kind of where we start to consider that, hey, I think the bull market is on. Back here, our previous market cycle, yes, we did drop it briefly with the COVID crash. I'm starting to think more and more that this would have happened anyways. Yes, this might have just been due to the Black Swan event, but again, this video is going to be mostly about Fibonacci's. Let's just take a look at where we topped out at that point in the market cycle, and look where we found support. Basically those wicks right in that 786, 886 Fibonacci pocket. So that's where we need to consider all things here, you guys. Yes, it would be absolutely great to see us pull back and retest this level because it is such an important level in the market. Obviously, like I was saying, we had this whole support range here. And on the way back up, we did respect it as very significant resistance. So it's obviously still an important level in the market. I would not be surprised to see some kind of a reaction at this box. If we don't end up holding it, that's where we need to look for other potential scenarios, and that's where I mapped out this green box, because you guys know that on shorter time frames specifically, I'm not typically trading the weekly chart by any means. You guys know I like the degen time frames, but the 786, 886 pocket has been respected so well on so many different time frames that I just can't help but have a gut feeling that eventually we might end up testing that green box there again, the 786, 886 Fibonacci pocket. So if we do end up dropping this blue box, that's kind of where I'm aiming, maybe even a little wick below, just like back here. But that's kind of where I'm kind of targeting as a main level of support if we do end up dropping to that level. Obviously, we don't have to drop to that level. It's just important to be aware of all potential scenarios moving forward so that we can approach the market with a level head as we're trading. Just be aware of the what ifs, because at the end of the day, the market doesn't give a shit what I think. I can be very wrong about these predictions. It's way more important to be able to react than predict anyways, but it definitely helps you react with a level head when you're kind of pre-planning, right? You're just open to all possibilities and just outlining some important levels. And as it stands right now, I think both of these boxes are very important for the market right now. And if we do end up continuing to pull back, there is potential that, maybe we test that Fibonacci box up higher. Maybe we're just going to bounce off this 382 fib here. maybe come back up to these levels up here before seeing our harsh rejection. I mean, anything is possible, you guys. But as it stands right now, you know, like I said, I've been watching this 618 fib. Not only is it an important Fibonacci, but it also lined up with this structure back here. This is right around the time, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, no, maybe it was a little after. I'm just trying to remember when Tesla announced that they were not going to be accepting Bitcoin again, because I remember that was one thing being blamed for the bear market, which I personally am more leaning to the side of things that Elon probably has some great analysts on his team, and they were probably telling him that maybe it's time to stop accepting Bitcoin because, hey, it looks like we're going to end up in this big correction. Maybe it's not a good idea to be accepting Bitcoin at this time, whatever the reason they give, right? So, but yeah, as mentioned, we have this structure at this level, lines up with that 618. I mean, it would make sense to be a perfect rejection zone, and so far we are getting that. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit further here. Let's hop off the weekly chart. Let's zoom into the 4-hour chart. Just looking at some basic structure here. I mean, we did have this beautiful range. And honestly, I was leaning a little bit bullish, even after this big correction that we had and just dumped to the downside. I was still favoring the longs at these levels. Just because, you know, we just had beautiful support of this range. So yeah, even though we pumped to the upside, coming back down, I mean, that's still an important support level. Unfortunately, we have dropped that level. So now we have to consider that, hey, maybe there is a little bit of momentum towards this rejection after all. Even now, you know, I'm not saying we have to go straight down. I'm not saying we have to nuke right down to that 30K or anything like that. It's absolutely possible that we end up reclaiming this box, get a nice little support bounce, and just kind of get a nice pump. And honestly, you will see the titles on YouTube videos, across social media. You'll see the Moon Boys really coming out if we start, you know, reclaiming some of these levels and starting to pump to the upside. But what we need to consider, you guys, is after breaking such an important level of support, I think there's a very real possibility that if we get some kind of a bounce, it's going to be cut short again by my favorite Fibonacci pocket. That's what I will be watching if we do get some sort of a crazy pump to the upside. You can see I already have my red box here. Just because we have that structure break, you know, even if we get that bounce, I'm just going to be more interested in keeping my eyes out for that big short, right? I mean, yeah, obviously we could just dump from here because we lost that floor. We're kind of respecting it as resistance now. But, you know, one thing, and especially when I'm looking at shorter time frames and stuff, you know, a lot of people, as soon as there's a structure break, a lot of people want to play a momentum trade, right? A breakout trade of any kind. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have been victims to that before, where you end up FOMOing into a breakout just to find out that it's a failed break, a fake out, whatever you want to call it. And then you get wrecked in the process. Whereas if you wait for those pullbacks, and again, even the 4-hour chart, guys, you know that I rarely play the 4-hour chart even, but I am always open to looking at it and getting a view of the market. So what I would like if I were looking to short this is I would more so want that pullback up to these levels. So rather than FOMOing into a short at these levels, and obviously scalping's different. You guys saw I was in scalp short today. But that's very different than looking for this massive move right down to 30K kind of a thing, because in validation of this, I mean, if we wanted to stab at a short at this level, I mean, invalidation of this entire swing is way up here. I mean, obviously, yes, you can look at some shorter time frames, some closer structure. You know, we have support levels, or sorry, resistance levels that you could set a stop loss above some of these structure levels. But invalidation of this entire swing is way up here. So, I mean, just being able to manage your risk, that's where I find these Fibonacci's is so useful. I mean, yes, I've been showing you a lot of winners with looking at my, what I'm calling the Stuber Fib pocket, the 786, 886. Not every setup like that is going to win. I'll take a look at some shorter time frames later. Maybe we'll even find a scalp during this stream. But one thing to consider is that if you're waiting for that pullback and just lately I've only been taking trades in that Fibonacci pocket. So basically wherever I can find some sort of a swing on a smaller time frame, if I see a break in structure, that's where I am then looking for that correction back to that pocket, because that can limit your risk so well. Obviously, just looking at this as a short, for example, what's going to be the safer trade, right? Shorting here and being stopped out way up here, or entering a short in this level and being stopped out at this level. Obviously, it's just a beautiful way to manage your risk a little bit, right? So rather than getting wrecked on playing a breakout that turns into a fake out, at least you're waiting for a situation where you can get a much tighter stop loss and just limit your, limit the losses that your account is going to take. So something to consider there. I want to bring up my favorite indicators here. You can see with the advanced trend, I actually haven't loaded these on this chart for quite a while. It's now the trend dynamic, I believe it's called. You can see that we do have these supply boxes showing. So this indicator's a green. Actually, those levels I just mapped out, right? Yeah, it's super obvious, but just looking at these structure levels, you can see that the indicator is a green, that there's strong levels of supply at those levels, supply being the same thing as resistance, basically. People willing to sell at those levels. We even have some boxes overlapping each other here, the brighter red boxes. So, yeah, and actually on top of that, I also want to mention that you guys know I love looking for confluence with these W's, which way they are trending. And as it stands right now, we just have this low, lower low, lower low, and once again, a lower low. So we have these W's trending to the downside. Something that may be a nice short signal or a sell signal would be if we get some kind of a bounce and then we see another W come into play, and then we have a lower high W as well. So just confirming that the W's are still trending to the downside. That's one bit of confluence that I really like when I'm looking for trade setups. And if I can mix that with the Fibonacci's, my ideal trade setup is if I can get, let's say if I'm looking for a short, I'm looking for that, break in structure to the downside, get a bounce up to a 786, 886 Fibonacci pocket, and then see a reversal warning followed by a lower reversal warning in that Fibonacci pocket. And when looking for the long side of things, the exact opposite, right? I'm looking for a low and then a higher low reversal warning right in a 786, 886 Fibonacci pocket. So that's that is my ideal trade setup, and I'm gonna try and find some a little bit on some shorter time frames. But yeah, these are just a few things that I'm looking at. You guys know the weekly time frame with that rejection, the 4 hour, the W's are trending to the downside. We're seeing these supply zones. We have this break of structure. If we end up getting that little bit of a bounce from these levels, I can't get too bullish right now, to be honest. For the midterm, I really, to be quite honest, you guys, I don't see anything crazy happening for the bulls this year. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. I think next year's going to be great. Yes, the ETF news is all old news at this point, so now we have to consider what's the next thing that's going to drive some hype. Well, we do have the Bitcoin halving coming up. If I'm not mistaken, it's in May. I could be wrong on that. And again, guys, I really don't care. The halving, looking at previous market cycles, I don't remember exact dates, so I'm not going to bring it up right now. I'm not going to waste my time with that. But I know I have looked at it in the past, and I don't really see any crazy pumps leading into the halving or anything like that. So at the end of the day, the charts are going to tell the stories. So I really don't care when the halving is, to be honest, because again, if it is going to make a difference with the price action, the structure in the chart will change and tell us that anyways. So yeah, I'm just interested in playing the charts. Like I said, I really do think that we don't necessarily go crazy parabolic or anything this entire year. Let's just look back to this previous market cycle where we ended up topping out at this 618. How many weeks was it until we ended up breaking out? That was 70 bars. So 70 weeks, that's more than a year of trading action until we ended up testing that level again. This market cycle back here, yeah, it happened a lot quicker. when we started retested that resistance as support, you're looking at about half a year. So yeah, you know, it could absolutely play out quicker. Generally speaking, market cycles take longer. So I really don't see anything crazy happening this year. I know not everyone wants to hear that, but that's just a gut feeling I have. I'm happy to be wrong on that. Like I said, if the charts change that theory, then so be it. But that's just kind of how I'm approaching the market moving forward for the mid to long term here. Let's just see. Let's see what the 1 hour is up to. Here, I just want to erase a couple. Actually, on the 4 hour, I want to check out the trend collection as well. Ooh, that's actually a nice signal here. Here, let me remove some drawings just to clean things up. I mean, just look at that on the 4 hour, you guys. Obviously, after we got that sell signal, we just kind of traded sideways for a little bit. Once this sell line ended up catching up to the price, you can see that it was an instant rejection. Just a beautiful sell signal there, if you ask me. So that's just kind of a... I've also been watching this indicator a little bit lately. I like looking at it for confluence, as well as I find this indicator interesting when I'm already in a position. Like my favorite positions to enter are, like I was talking about with the Fibonacci's and the reversal warnings as confluence. But I also really like looking at this for if I'm already in a trade, like if I was more of a swing trader and I did take this sell on the 4 hour sell signal, for example, this is where it's nice to kind of have a trailing stop loss. I don't quite go right at the level that this indicator tends to give. I usually give a little extra wiggle room, but I do like to double check it sometimes when looking at chasing a position with a trailing stop loss and that sort of thing. So something to consider there. And my settings for that might look different for a lot of people. My settings for the trend collection, I just have, I have scalp mode selected and I checked enable. So it basically just, it's on auto settings. It's just going to select what it figures I should be on this time frame. So I don't have any specific settings that I use with this indicator. I just have it doing it automatically, and that's on all time frames. I haven't really played around with it other than that. So that's where my settings stand with that. Let's zoom in a little bit further. Let's take a look at the 1 hour here. See what some indicators are saying. We do have this buy signal. I don't know how much weight I want to give that. What do we got going on here? We have mixed signals with our trending W's. We have these are trending up. We have a buy signal, but we also have the lows are setting lower lows. So we have a little bit of mixed signals. I really like when the W's are lining up in agreement with each other, and we don't really have that right now on the hourly chart at least. We also have, even though we got this buy signal, we do see this indicator flipping back to blue. So if it's buy, it's a pink signal here. And when it's sell, it's blue. So it's already considering flipping back to sell. And not only that, just like the W's, you guys, I like to double check these buy and sell signals as a little bit of confluence when trying to point out a trend. Same thing as the W's, just seeing which way they're trending, right? I mean, here's a perfect example. We have a sell signal. We have a lower sell, a lower sell. We don't have a new lower sell quite yet. But even just, you know, yes, we're getting some of these buy signals. However, it's a lower buy signal, a lower buy signal, a lower buy signal. So we don't really have the trend. And that's one thing. I haven't done a ton of back testing on that sort of thing other than with the W's. You guys know I've been talking about that for half a year or a year at this point, looking for which way the W's are trending. But the way I see it is you can kind of point that out with any signal. So it's not necessarily just the W's. You can, like I said, the buy signal's trending down, the sell signal's trending down. So there's obviously some bearish momentum here, and the indicators are just pointing out that trend to us. So just beautiful confluence. Because you guys, I know everybody wants to catch a nice, juicy, sexy reversal. Realistically, you're only going to be correct about a reversal once. Whereas if you play the trend, I mean, the trend is your friend until the end. So, I mean, the trend is going to keep playing until it doesn't. Whereas that reversal, you only really got one shot. So, yes, sometimes I'm scalping for reversals and, you know, taking profits along the way and updating my stop loss and that kind of thing to protect myself. But generally speaking, I like to know which way the trend is going when picking the direction that I'm trading. And as you guys saw in the Discord earlier today, I was actually favoring shorts. I have been in 2 different shorts today already, and they both played out, but we have a nice bearish trend going currently. Just kind of going back to, I'm actually going to delete a little bit here just to clean things up. First thing this morning, I actually mentioned that we had a little bit of a reversal around this level. I think I was actually on a 1-minute chart, but just to kind of zoom out, zooming out to the 5-minute, a lot of you will probably find that funny because not everybody likes to trade these shorter time frames. But just looking for basic structure here, looking at how I'm going to map out my Fibonacci's here. This is kind of how I go about doing it. Just on what I have on the screen here, obviously we have this high, we have a higher high, so we have broke that structure. And then we actually, so this would now be our higher low because that's the lowest point between the high and the higher high. Now, I mapped out this red line because we actually broke that structure, right? So now we have this low, we have a lower low. That's where I'm going to pull my Fibonacci, right? So we have that break in structure. That's where I pull my Fibonacci from our current high down to where we bottomed out. So that's kind of how I had my fibs mapped out this morning when I woke up. And here's where we get one of those cases of a reversal warning very close to that Fibonacci pocket. And that's kind of why this morning that I was favoring the short side. I actually just want to zoom in here. I just want to mark it because I believe it was on the 1-minute why I entered a trade at that level. Yes, it absolutely was. So this is going to be really micro analyzing, you guys. But basically what I was looking at is we got very close to that 786. We ended up having this little bit of a pullback here. We got some kind of a bounce. And then again, just zooming into a shorter time frame, right? So I already had that. We were close to the 786 on the 5-minute chart. Then I'm just zooming in a little bit further to really get a pinpoint accurate entry and just to confirm my bias, I suppose. So I'm pulling the Fibonacci from this high here where we topped out near that 786 and just going to where we bottomed out at the time. And then lo and behold, look where we got rejected. Again, a nice reversal warning right as we tested into that 786 Fibonacci pocket. And that's what led me to take that short this morning. Again, guys, I think that Fibonacci pocket is so valuable because it seems like we respect it so often. And when you can add the confluence of the indicators, like a reversal warning at that level, I mean, that was just an absolutely beautiful play. I like to start scaling out of my positions quickly. So, I mean, I'm already looking to start scaling out at these other Fibonacci's from my pull. But then once we exceed that micro range that we had outlined, that's basically where I start to look for, well, what's the next big pivotal point Fibonacci level that I can take here? Well, we can go from this low here to where we topped out there. And that's where I start to look at my take profits for, once again, that 786, 886 Fibonacci pocket. So yes, we did end up continuing down a little bit, but that would just be how I would start to look for more take profits in that kind of a situation. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. Let me know if anything doesn't make sense here with the way I look at the ranges, with how I mapped out my Fibonacci's and that sort of thing. I just want to catch up. Oh, you guys have been busy in the chat. I want to catch up. I hope Max is in here. Welcome. I do have my settings correctly today, so I can hear you and not rudely cut you off like my last stream here. But yeah, hopefully you're all doing fantastic here. Let me just catch up a little bit. Also, you guys, if you have altcoin requests or anything, I can kind of take a look. If you do want to request any altcoins, let me know what kind of time frame you're looking at as well.
Hey Stewie, how are you, buddy?
I'm great. How are you doing, my dude?
I'm good, man. Sorry I can't type. You know what? Be quiet for just a sec. Sorry I can't type. I'm cooking dinner. But can you look at engine since last time we spoke? ENJ.
Yes, we were looking at engine last stream, weren't
I
we?
just
I did see that
yeah,
one's been dumping a little bit.
I just
Just
got in. I got in again today, literally about an hour ago or something. I was talking to Eagle, looked at it, and got into a long, like super low leverage, but like a big size.
oh,
So whatever
nice.
you can see, whatever you can tell me, my friend, I appreciate it, buddy.
Let's take a little look here. Yeah, bonk. We don't need bonk. Let's check out engine.
Thanks, boss.
You betcha. Let's check out BingX. Yeah, I do like, you know, as far as structure goes, okay, this is the 15-minute chart. I just want to clean things up a little bit. As far as just a naked chart with basic structure goes, I do like that. Here's an example. We have this low, we have a lower low. This would be our lower high, and we did end up breaking that structure. And then on top of that, we did set some higher highs. So I do like that. Let's just see what else can we find here. This would, I suppose, be our high. That would be our highest high so far. So as far as structure, I would want this support here to hold. And I mean, yeah, we got that little wick below, but I like that we are still kind of just staircasing higher. So that's kind of what I'd be watching right now. If we end up dumping this level, yeah, it's possible that we test back down a little bit lower. But, since we did break this little downtrend, that's where I would start to look for Fibonacci's again if I were looking to relong it, for example. Actually, interesting. Speaking of Fibonacci's, just look where we are finding support so far, the 382. And I know I mentioned this in pretty much all my videos too when I am looking at fibs. Generally speaking, a strong trend, you will see the 382 hold as support, or if it's a downtrend, then the resistance, right? Once we start closing candles below that, even if we bounce up, that's kind of where I'm starting to look at the possibilities of testing back down to this box down here. So, I mean, if we lose that 382, that's kind of where I would be looking at support for now, as far as a 15-minute chart goes. Yeah, if we end up dropping, like I said, we start closing candles below this, that's where I would start to look for, if I was looking for a trade on this coin, that's where I would start to look for a short, but again, waiting for some kind of a fib pull. This is all theoretical at this point. Oh, excuse me. Smoker's lungs. Um, this is theoretical, but let's just say we're closing candle bodies, so we drop the 382 there. That's where I would start to look for some kind of a pullback to the upside. So rather than FOMOing into a short down here, that's where I'd want to, just to minimize my risk, I'd be looking at more of a pullback to that 786, 886 Fibonacci pocket. Oops. Just make it red to make things easier. And generally speaking, I leave a little bit of wiggle room. That's why I have these other fibs up here. But that's kind of, and also when I look at these trade setups, if I really want to minimize my risk the best I can, I do like to ladder into positions as well. So quite often, if we have that structure break, okay, I know I want to take a short, but I don't want to FOMO in down here. So I'm waiting for the retest up at these levels. That's where I would ladder in a position. Specifically, what I like to do recently is I like to put in a quarter of my position at just below the 786, another quarter of my position at just below the 886, and then the remaining half of my position up a little bit higher. So just kind of trying to grab a little liquidity grab there with half of the position. So that really does just help bring my average entry up. And I don't want this to be confused with doubling down and quadrupling down on my position, you guys. Instead, I'm breaking my position into quarters or halves or whatever. So I want to make that clear, because obviously if you're doing the opposite, you're not minimizing your risk, you're actually making it drastically more risky. So just something to consider there. But yeah, I love laddering into positions, just like how I exit positions, right? You guys know that when I do show these trade setups, I like to be scaling out of my positions quickly because I am more of a scalper, but then letting some run. So I'm laddering out of my positions, just like when I enter positions, I love to ladder into them. So that's just kind of how I like to look at trading and my trade setups and reducing risk and all that sort of thing. So, but yeah, as it stands right now, that's all a bunch of theoretical if we end up dropping the 382 and that sort of thing. So as it stands right now, things are looking good. 382 is still holding. So that is good to see. What else can we see? I'm going to zoom out a little bit further. Let's zoom way out. Check out the daily. I know, yeah, because we were watching this for quite a while. Hey, was it this wedge we were looking at? I think it was a few weeks ago we were looking at some kind of a wedge. I want to say it was something like so. That's ringing
Like that, it was literally breaking out of the daily downtrend, back tested the wedge, and started taking off. Like you had that trend line from all the way up high.
Yeah, was it up higher? Yeah, oh yeah, it
Yeah,
was. It
it
was.
was a lot higher.
Yeah, where was
But
it? Was
yeah,
right here.
boom.
This is the
Yep,
one.
yep, that's it. You
That's
see,
the
this is why
one.
it's right now. Because if you look at it, pay attention to it, it's backtesting that trend line. And remember, it went to 44 cents. We all got longs in there. And then it came back. Now it's backtesting that trend line for, another push up, I think. That's why I remembered it. Like it was vivid. Like
Oh,
it just started reminiscing about last couple of weeks. I'm like, hold on. And I went on the daily, did that trend line, and boom, look at the back test right now.
oh, absolutely. And like, yeah, even though we're trending to the downside, we're really just retesting this resistance as support. So yeah, it's a downward sloping trend line. It makes sense that we're going to continue on down, but we're not losing that level, right? I mean, I would be a lot more concerned if we did something like this. That I would be considering opening some kind of a short in that case. But as it stands right now, I mean, I don't mind what I see at all. And actually, I just want to bring up some Fibonacci's because, that's kind of the name of the game today. Let's just go from where we have currently bottomed out. Look at that. That is just pinpoint accurate on that downward sloping resist, flipping into support, bang on the 786 Fibonacci level. So yeah, I don't know. That does not look too bad in my opinion. Even a wick a little bit lower, test that 886, but honestly, I don't know if we're going to get it. That's such a beautiful retest of a couple of things there that I really like that. I'm kind of bummed out that I wasn't watching this as closely as I should have been because it was on my radar. I've been accumulating a little bit of its spot, but I haven't been trading it with leverage. But that is a beautiful retest, if you ask me. One of my favorite Fibonacci levels, right on one of my favorite chart patterns. And it's not like this is just some random wedge that doesn't have much weight to it, because the fact that it's a daily chart, and you guys know that whenever I'm talking about playing breakouts on chart patterns, I like at least 3 touch points, and I like them to be pretty damn exact. And I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then testing it from the other side a couple of times. I mean, that's a very significant trend line if you ask me. So yeah, I really like where this is sitting. I really like that. Rocky, I can check out Rocky. What exchange is that on?
Thank you, big brother.
You betcha. CoinX. Here we go. Oh boy. Not a lot of history. Let's check this out. Let's zoom into the 1 hour chart. You know, just off a very quick glance, I mean, obviously we had this low. Here's our lower low. Here's our lower high. I'm just going to mark this out here. That's kind of a break of that structure. And then we also did end up creating a higher high as well. So I do like that it looks like, you know, this trend may be reversing here. I can already tell you what Fibonacci's this pullback is going to be. But yeah, basically, well, it never quite made it, but very close to the 786 Fibonacci there. Yeah, I don't mind what I see there. That's for sure. I know nothing about this. I think I saw you mention that this might be more of a meme or something like that. We're going to have to see what happens. Another thing that I would be interested in watching would just be to see if some sort of a bigger wedge plays out. You know, look at some sort of a downward sloping trend line like this. So we have our 1 touch point, 2 touch point. You know, I would really like to see a 3rd touch point before a breakout and retest. That's where I would be very interested in getting on board with this. The thing is, with some of these low cap coins, I mean, anything can happen. It really doesn't take much money to push these things. So, I mean, take it for what it is when we're actually trying to map out charts and stuff like that. Yeah, I always, number one on my thing when looking to enter positions, I always factor in price action before anything. But when it comes to these small cap coins, yeah, anything is possible. It probably, in my opinion, I really don't think it would take much money if it's as small of a market cap as I'm thinking to, you know, just absolutely moonship back up to some of these structure levels up here. So we're going to have to see what happens there. But generally speaking, if this were a typical coin with a decent market cap, I would like to see that 3rd touch point before a breakout. If we just broke out right now and I don't have my perfect 3rd touch point, I'm more so looking at some kind of a rejection where I think it would be more realistic to expect a bit of a fake out. Maybe even looking for some kind of a fib pull just on this immediate swing. And actually that would be very close to that structure, but I'd be looking at something like so. But if we do get that 3rd touch point before the breakout, I'm willing to give it a lot more weight just because it's obviously, I guess, just a little more weight to the trend line and the breakout in that case. DEX tools for the full picture. Haven't been on DEX tools in a while. Let's find Rocky. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's see if the 4-hour has anything. Oh boy. Nice little, well, I mean, really, I mean, it looks like a pump and dump, but every market cycle with every asset basically does. Everything gets way overextended in both directions. So as it stands right now, I mean, yeah, let's see. I would like to pull some random Fibonacci's. Let's just say from its all-time low, basically, before it exploded there. We're actually below the 786 if I were a betting man, and I definitely am. Let's look for 0.886. That's basically right where we're finding support right now. So, yeah, you know, that looks like it could absolutely go a little nuts to the upside. What kind of a... If we end up getting back to all-time highs, I mean, that's over a 6x, 7x. There's definitely room for some big upside moves on something like that. I mean, when we get these big sell-offs, you can see that we're already starting to form some kind of a rounding bottom. So, I mean, yeah, that doesn't look too bad to me. Let's zoom in a little bit, check out the 1 hour. Yeah, again, kind of the same thing. Pull a Fibonacci. Look at that. perfect wick down to the 886, candle bodies right at the 786. Just absolutely love to see it. As far as Fibonacci's go, that's pretty much my favorite thing to see, is when you wick down into that pocket and test the 886, but the candle bodies are closing right around the 786. I absolutely love to see that. So yeah, that looks beautiful to me, honestly. And again, the fact that we did have this series of lower lows, broke the lower high, set a higher high. I mean, yeah, that looks good to me. A break of structure followed by that, my favorite Fibonacci pocket. Boom. That's what I want to see when entering a position. So I love that. Love to see it. Yeah, what else? Any other altcoins you guys would want me to check out here? I'll probably stick around for another 10 or 15 minutes here with you guys. I got a few things to do. I'm still in talks with airlines and stuff like that because we got screwed around so much for a few days. So I still have a couple things I need to claim with them. But yeah, let me know if there's any altcoins you guys want me to check, anything like that.
Hey, buddy, I'll wait my turn. But can you check out Secret, SCRT, after you take other requests from other people? I don't want to jump in line. I just cooking dinner. I cannot type.
Oh, sure.
Thanks, buddy.
Hopefully, I'll try and remember. My memory sucks. But yes, I'm going to check out just a couple things, and then I'll check out Secret.
Did you put ketchup on that?
How was it?
Right. Let's just check out. Let's go to Bing, because Bing is what I think a lot of us are using now. I'm going to start on the 4 hour here. Just kind of looking at this previous range back here where we had some support. Let's just pull a Fibonacci from this level. Interesting to see where we're so far finding support. No surprise there, getting a little bit of a reaction. Still early to say here. But I do like the fact that, you know, we broke out of this range, came back and pulled back to that Fibonacci pocket. I do like to see that. We do still have a downtrend, obviously. I mean, it would be a little bit safer if you waited for confirmation of a break of this trend. So let's say, you know, we have this low, we have a lower low. Now we want to see a break of this lower high. And then ideally on top of that, then we actually set a higher high as well. And at that point, depending if you're more so looking for spot or looking at trading with leverage, I think it's always a good idea to wait for some kind of a retracement. So in that case, with the break of structure, then I would really like to see a pullback to, once again, my favorite Fibonacci pocket. I just... a break of structure followed by that pullback can really just help limit your risk. So that's kind of what I'd be looking at there. What kind of a time frame you thinking, Simon? What do you normally check out? Same with Prop C. Are you more of a, like, this is the 4 hour, but are you looking at more shorter time frames for leverage trading or more of a spot accumulation? Spot, yeah. Like, as it stands right now, I mean, as far as this market structure goes, yeah, we're obviously at a nice level of support right now. So as far as spot accumulation, I think this is a good level to be kind of DCAing into. It's better than FOMOing in at the top, waiting for that breakout and then buying up at these levels, right? I mean, it's nice that we broke out of this range, came back down and testing some of those Fibonacci's. So I do like that. I do want to check out Prop C as well, because you guys know that I hold a little bit of that as well. Yeah, dropped some significant support there, in my opinion. We have this downward sloping trend line as resistance. Yeah, what kind of a fib target? Like, if the whole market's going to continue correcting, and you guys know my thoughts on that, I really don't think Bitcoin has bottomed yet. I mean, a lot of these altcoins are going to get hammered, right? So if... Oh, just getting a little bit of feedback. Just going to do a little mute here. Yeah, if the market is going to continue to the downside, that's where I'd start looking for those Fibonacci's again. So just pulling for this this entire little move here. I mean, we are getting close to that Fibonacci pocket, so if you're looking for spot accumulation, yeah, if we get down to these levels, maybe that's a good buy. We're gonna have to see what happens, but yeah, I'd be interested in buying a little bit if we do get back down to those levels. And that is on a 4-hour chart. It is too bad that this never broke out. I mean, you can see that, well, once again, when we're just looking for resistance, where we found resistance here, I mean, the reason I had this red box outlined, I mean, you guys can take a guess by this point, I'm sure, just looking from the all-time high and then pulling the fib down to the bottom there. That's basically where I was looking at resistance. That Fibonacci pocket, or very close to, moved a little bit, but yeah, so, you know, seeing the same thing as far as rejection, I mean, I'd kind of expect the same thing on the opposite end, right? I mean, looking at a real big swing like this, I would expect the same thing, that, you know, it wouldn't be all too uncommon to see some sort of support reaction, some kind of a bounce from that Fibonacci pocket there. I will also be watching this downward sloping trend line, because I think if it gets another touch or two and then we get some kind of a breakout, then I think there's absolutely possibilities of a much bigger move to the upside. Well, thanks for tuning in, Max. Have a good rest. Chat soon. Yeah, what else? Secret. SCRT, I think, right? Yeah. What exchange? Mexi or Bybit? I'm not sure what would have the most trading it looks like we got a decent amount of trading history anyways. So let's see, as far as naked structure goes, let's just say we had this low over here, or sorry, this lower high here. We ended up breaking that, set a higher high, so we do have that nice structure break. So that's where I start to look for these Fibonacci's. If we're looking for a nice support level on the 4-hour, just like a lot of things we've been checking, we're getting fairly close to that 786, 886 Fibonacci pocket. I actually want to add the 618 to this too. I haven't been using that as much recently because I just find I can get a tighter stop loss, and yeah, you don't get necessarily as many entries when waiting for the deeper Fibonacci pockets, but I do find that so often the 786, 886 is being respected, and it just tightens up that that risk reward, right? So yeah, we're seeing a lot of coins getting very close to those levels. Yeah, maybe it's going to be front run and we do find support, but you guys know my thoughts on that. I just really love pulling back into those fib pockets. So that's something to watch for. Let's actually zoom in a little bit. Remove drawings. Let's zoom into the 1 hour. Just going to map out a few random trend lines here and just see what we can find with a little bit of freestyle in here. Something like so. Yeah, there's just adjusting things until I find something that really catches my eye here. I mean, here's one of those examples, you guys, where, you know, we had our 1 touch point, 2 touch point. Our 3rd touch point did actually break through very briefly, depending what time frame you're on. It may have even got some candle body closes above. But again, we never had that 3rd touch point before breaking out, so it did just end up getting shut down. What do we got here as far as basic horizontal? You know, I do like that we broke this little bit of structure here. So just looking for a minor pullback on the 1 hour here. Where does that take us? Well, we already got that test of the 786, so that actually would have been a nice entry there. Once again, just looking for that break in structure. We had our low, our lower low, lower high, broke that level, and got our pullback to that 786 fib. So again, guys, I just find that to be such a powerful tool when, you know, analyzing these markets and looking for trade setups. It's just time and time again we see that 786, 886 Fibonacci pocket retested. So, and as always, guys, you know that I am more of a scalper. I am quick to start taking profits. I mean, if you're looking for take profits levels, other Fibonacci levels are always a good go-to. Quite often when I do look for these bounces in the 786, 886 fib pocket, I'm starting to downsize my position when I'm just shy of the 382. So I like to front run it a little bit, but this is where I would start to look at taking profits if I did scalp an entry off that Fibonacci, for example. And then from there, just basically the next fib levels, next serious resistance levels. That's basically how I go about that. But so far it's looking nice. We got that retest of the 786. We've actually reclaimed the 618 now. So I really don't see a reason why we would have to stop before the 382. Anything can happen, but that's just how I'm looking at it right now. We shorting Asia? That's typically a thing, isn't it? Let's take a look at Bitcoin again. Just really zooming in. Man, we're kind of stuck in this range for now. Like I was talking about earlier in the stream, we did have this break of this low. So this low, lower low. We're still in that same range, and I am still leaning a bit bearish because to invalidate this, we obviously have to take out our range high, which is way up here. So we do have this low. We have our lower low. We have our Fibonacci pulse, so I would really expect to see some resistance up in this box if we do get some kind of a climb. One thing to consider about that, with that, is that we already got our first move advantage, right? Like so often when we get that structure break and pull back to that level, you get that immediate reaction, whereas the more we test those levels, the more of a chance there is that we're going to eventually break through because we're just weakening that resistance level. So we may have already missed that opportunity earlier this morning when we got our first test. Really going to microanalyze here, looking at a much more immediate swing. This is where it gets a little bit risky. I want to make this clear because as far as a small range goes, this whole thing is the range that we're currently trading in. But if I really want to overanalyze things, and you guys know I fucking love doing that, just looking at this red line that I have here, obviously we do have this little bit of structure. We close some candle bodies below this wick here. And then just doing kind of the same thing, looking for a Fibonacci pull from our high of that immediate swing, pulling from top to bottom, looking for where we may get rejected, pulling down to the lowest point of that range. Well, no surprise there to any of you guys who have been paying attention for the last hour. Look at where we're starting to see that little bit of a rejection. So whether or not it plays out, because like I already mentioned, it is a little risky since we're in a bigger range here. But I mean, you can see that there's obviously this Fibonacci pocket is just obviously a level of interest time and time again. We're just always respecting it in some way. Even if we don't hold it at this point and we do end up breaking through, you can see that there's such an obvious reaction at this level. If we actually end up closing candle bodies above the 886, that's where I start to think that we are going to climb higher and maybe test these higher fibs up here. I find that quite often that, yes, you know, excuse me, quite often we will get those wicks above these levels. Like I was talking about before, how I go about setting these trades, where I kind of ladder in something like this. That's just basically hoping to catch a wick when I'm looking at those entries above the 886. But generally speaking, I don't want the candle bodies closing above it. I just start to lose a lot of confidence in my trade if that happens, because I find so often that if we close bodies above that 886, there's a good chance it's going to carry on higher and maybe find the next swing. In that case, I would even consider looking at something like so. If we do end up breaking out from these levels here, breaking out of that little range, that's where I would start to target the 786, 886 fib pocket of just a bigger swing, basically. Just zooming out, finding our next big pivotal point here. That's kind of the level I'd be watching next. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, as it stands right now on this very micro trend here, it is nice to see that, you know, that Fibonacci pocket, there's no denying it. That's where we are currently facing resistance. $100x leverage short, attaboy. I'm still in a little bit of my short from earlier, and it is right around this level anyways. But I did close half of it earlier. I showed you guys where I had my 2 take profits from that little scalpy scalp I had earlier. At your kid's karate class, 100x trading. You sound like me, getting the degen on no matter where you may be. Love it. Love to hear it. Does anyone else have any questions? Was anything unclear throughout this stream? Anything like that? I will be taking off right away. I'm starting to get hungry. I think the girlfriend's back from kickboxing, so I want to go eat and whatnot fairly soon. Maybe hop out to the degen shack and maybe take a couple bong rips for the boys. As one does. Need those performance enhancing drugs, right? Oh boy, where's this question going? What do you do? Yeah, you find some munchies there, Ronald. That's an easy question. Find some chocolate chip cookies and some potato chips. Spicy dill, to be exact. That's also a good one. All right. Yeah, what else? What else can we look at here? You know, one thing I wanted to mention, guys, actually, I'll get to that in a second here. For those of you who are new here, I am seeing a few new faces. I know a lot of you guys, I have seen you around here basically on the weekly. I do also post these videos to my own small YouTube channel here, StuTube Trading, all one word. These do also get uploaded into the Academy, just, you know, it takes a little bit to process and that kind of thing. So it is uploaded here first. And as well, I do post shorter analysis videos as well. The Academy will mostly only have my longer live streams. So my YouTube channel, I also have these shorter 10, 15-minute videos and that kind of thing. And as well, I do have Twitter as well, StuTube Trading, all one word. And sometimes I'm posting analysis in there if I don't have time to make a video or whatever. But where are we here? Alrighty. Yeah. Anyways, legends, I think that's about all I wanted to go over today. Hopefully you did find this stream useful. If you're here with me live, obviously you're a member in the Discord, so be sure to check out the legend board here on the MDX ALGO dashboard. It's basically a fantasy portfolio league. It's free for members who are in the Discord already. You get monthly and weekly picks, so you can actually win some real crypto. It's free to do if you're already a member, and you can win some actual prizes there. As well, we do also now, we have one-on-one mentoring. So that's basically if anybody wants a more personal experience with help navigating the markets, working on trading strategies and all that sort of thing. Yeah, that's where you can apply to get involved with a mentorship there. And for those of you who are watching this stream a little bit later on my YouTube channel, if you are interested in some of my favorite indicators, as well as a no KYC crypto exchange to get your degen on, I have a couple links in the description down below for discounts, bonuses, and so on. And with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.